YouTubers. This is Aries Flames, and I've had this channel since 2009. Today I'm making a vlog about certain things that have occurred in my life that inspired me to do so. Many people I know may think that, oh, she has too much time in her hands, but that's not the case at all. Boy, technology has really advanced for these things to happen within the matter of minutes or seconds, and it's pretty much at the tip of your fingers. So, that being said, certain incidences that occurred, involving culture, religion, and this and that, I will be touching on some sensitive topics. So, here goes. Um, there was, long story short, this situation to me is kind of like the telephone game. When you're sitting in a circle and you have one person start a phrase and that person whispers it to the ear of the other person, and he or she whispers it to the ear of the person next to them, so on and so forth, and it makes a complete circle. And after that round is complete, this initial phrase that was started is completely distorted. It is pretty much twisted, and that is due to misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and mishearing. So I think that's something similar to what happened with an incident that occurred in my life that involved an uncle and an aunt of mine. So basically, where my cousin comes to visit from Baltimore. And, my uncle wanted to come over and congratulate him for starting his engineering career. And, I've noticed certain things about the Bengali culture, and I'll point them out to you at this moment, when I explain the situation. But these things I've observed, for example, when my cousin walks into the door, my uncle says, "Boy, you must be eating really well. You put on a good bit of weight." See, things like these don't, consistently or occur as much in American cultures or families as it does in the Bengali culture, and especially from, old school Bengali folks. So, after that was said, he did congratulate him and this and that. And something else I've noticed about the Bengali culture is comparisons. Old school folks in the Bengali culture like to compare and contrast children. And I know I'm not a child, but it happens even to young adults as myself. So, my uncle decides to sit down and kind of categorize three different girls in three different categories. And he has a pedestal comparison. The pedestal comparison is a girl who is a practicing Muslim, okay, and she practices Islam, prays 5 times a day according to him, this and that. And I know her, and no doubt in my mind that she's a good person. But does her religion make her a good human being? Does her religion make her a good person? Which is what he was indicating. It was very, very bluntly implied. And so basically, he then kind of almost shuns the other two girls. And, you know, my aunt and I at that point, we're starting to notice that, he's judging these three girls based on religion. And, so we decided to say that, a person is not defined by their religion. A person is defined by the core of their humanity. So he asks me what my religion is, and I tell him that I'm not a Muslim. Does that make me a better or worse person? I'm an agnostic, and I follow certain Buddhist philosophies. So he says, literally chuckles, and says, "You can't do that." Well, really, why can I not do that? Why can I not have the right to choose or pick and choose from religions that, appeal to me, and to take the good values from whatever religion I want to, or faith, or belief, and make it my own, And he says it's because you were born a Muslim girl, you have a Muslim last name, really. So that kind of, reminded me of something my another uncle of mine said, that we were all born naked babies. And when we were born a naked baby, we were not given a name until it was given as a human construct. So that name, first name and especially the last name, holds some sort of a religious background. Does that have anything to do with what you could have chosen. We have absolutely no right to choose what we were born into. So, is it wrong to later on in life choose something that you more relate with as a person, as a spiritual being, as everything you are? So, my aunt, on the other hand, she's listening to all of this, and she, by the way, is I would say, has a really strong religious background, as in she has read the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, the Torah, and she has analyzed them logically and interpreted them to the point where I believe that she had a lot of logical points to make. She did say that a person who prays 5 times a day does not make them better from somebody who does not, because there are many Muslims and religious people out there who consider themselves or would consider themselves serious and practicing Muslims, but do bad deeds at the same time. So how do you grasp that? He pretty much didn't want to listen to it, and it kind of went back and forth. My aunt became very passionate about it, so did I. And when things got heated, my aunt left, and my uncle was just there. And the last word I heard him say, literally, before he left the room, was vicious. He called both of us vicious for standing up for that way of thinking. And, it's like religion is a human construct, so is culture, I believe, and it has been created to make more sense of this world, of this universe, and that's perfectly fine. People have the right to choose, in my opinion, and many others I would assume would agree with that. Um, to what they believe in. So the fact that, this is not me crying out victim. This is just me letting people know my side of the story. Like I said, like the telephone game, things have become really distorted, and word of mouth has twisted a lot of the things that actually happened. And of course, my uncle won't say it the way it really did happen. There were only 2 witnesses in that room at that time, including myself. So, in my agnostic beliefs, I believe that I have absolutely no reason to lie. Those are my core values. To me, a religion does not have to dictate to me to know what's right from wrong. No religion has to dictate that to me. I know that lying and stealing and rape and domestic violence, murder, that these things are wrong. And I know these things not because of religious preaches it to me, but because I am a human being and I have learned these things from different aspects of my life. And another incident similar that occurred is when another cousin of mine actually tried to preach Islam to me multiple times. And, well, he did the same thing to my little sister as well. And he has a tattoo or two. I'm not sure if he has one or two. But in that sense, I just couldn't take him seriously. I found it a bit hypocritical and contradictory that he would have tattoos, which is not allowed in the Islamic religion, and consider himself serious enough to preach it to me. I just could not take that seriously. So, I did try to expose that on social media as well. Why am I doing that? Simply for people to know that these things happen, not for any sort of support, just for people to understand that, okay, you know what, these things are still happening and in our family, you know. So that was my main case. I need absolutely nobody's support, but at this point I'm taking this stance because I want to know from my fellow stranger YouTubers. I want to understand what your point of view is on this. Are you born a certain religion? Is it wrong for you? Or what's right or wrong, right? People have different thoughts in their heads about what is right from wrong. But is it wrong to, kind of think outside of what you were born in and follow something different later on in life? Since I was completely dismissed of my spiritual beliefs by my uncle, this has inspired me and motivated me to make this vlog. And his son, on the other hand, out of sheer anger, I believe, completely tried to demean me on social media, saying that I am obese. Mind you, I am 114 pounds, and, called me unintelligent at a point, wished me very bad. And according to his words, what I do is just I brush him off my shoulder because it's only become my motivation to stand up for occurrences like these. I feel that it's, you know, it baffles me, honestly, and it also baffled my aunt at that point, who was my only support in the actual incident. So, at this point, uh, what I remember is, I mean, I grew up in a very passionate household. My family, my mom and dad, they're both passionate about certain things, and it runs in my blood. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to share my side of the story, because sometimes, just like, in that telephone game, people distort things and they don't know both sides of the story before they make any misconceptions or preconceived notions about a person and what they did and why they did it. So in that case, I remember uh, an executive director of a life insurance company at a point, during a group meeting, told me that uh, it's it's hard for people to want, other people to do well. They may think that, they're saying all these good things, but whether it's unconsciously, subconsciously, or consciously, people within a human nature don't want others to thrive, because it's just the core of humanity. Unfortunately, there are good things about humanity and bad things, but what does, that have to do with trying to put somebody down based on the religion or the faith they believe in? And is there any right and wrong about what you were born into and what you're not? I understand that, fellow YouTubers who are strangers to me, strangers sometimes judge people a little less than people who think they know you. So I want to hear your 2 cents, and please feel free to private message me on YouTube, and I will be disabling comments here, because I know religion is a very sensitive topic. So feel free to private message me, and on Facebook, feel free to comment. But if it is, not a constructive comment or anything that's rude or mean, I will be deleting it. So if you want to private message me on that, if anyone, absolutely anyone, is interested, please feel free to do so. That being said, all I can say at this point is, higher power bless. And my cat is behind me, so let me go tend to the little kitten. Um, Thank you so much, guys, for your time, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to my side of the story, and higher power bless. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Okay, this is not working.